field. Upon investigation, officers determined that a gray 2014 Jeep Patriot operated by 65-year-old Joseph Diorio of Griswold was traveling south on Norwich Road when the vehicle was struck in the front end by a 2018 Chevy Malibu operated by 66-year-old Linda Figueroa, who was traveling the other way on Norwich Road and failed to grant the right-of-way while attempting to turn into a private driveway. Figueroa was then transported by ambulance to Bacchus Hospital in Plainfield for suspected injuries sustained in the crash. Based on operator and witness statements, as well as physical evidence at the scene, it was determined that Figueroa failed to grant right-of-way while operating her motor vehicle and was issued a summons. Yesterday's storm wasn't as potent as it had been built up to be, which is a good thing, actually. Eastern Connecticut saw gusts of wind registering between 35 and 40 miles per hour. We may see a little bit more rain today, but Henri is gone. The forecast is coming up in just a bit. In the town of Harwington, a 15-year-old girl was struck and killed just after 10 p.m. last night when she was hit by a car that was trying to avoid hitting a car that she was talking to a person in. Kaylee Proveno was standing in the shoulder on Route 222 in Harwington when 51-year-old Wayne Conroy hit her when he swerved to the right. The accident remains under investigation. Checking town meetings for tonight, Griswold has a Board of Education meeting this evening, as well as a Board of Selectmen meeting tomorrow night. That will be at Griswold Town Hall. In sports, the Griswold Athletic Department has announced Ashley Hune as the new Griswold High School girls soccer coach. Hune is a former Division I soccer player from Western Carolina University, and she was a Division II player at Catawba College. Her extensive experience as an elite college athlete brings a level of experience to coaching that is most welcome, says Steve Cravino, athletic director at Griswold High School.
The 8:30 a.m. report has been brought to you by the Burns Agency. With offices in Dayville and Norwich, find out why you'll buy better at Burns.
All right, let's take a look at the forecast right now for Eastern Connecticut. And here he is. It's Paul Lash. Hey,
Good
Paul.
morning, everybody. Right now, the temperature downtown Jude City is 72 degrees. Partly cloudy skies this morning. We'll give away to cloudy skies and rain during the afternoon. Potential for flooding is possible. Highs around 78 degrees. But tonight, cloudy again. Periods of rain early. Lows around 68. And because for your Tuesday, well, it's going to be partly cloudy skies. Highs around 87 degrees. And that's your weather from SNSN on this Monday, 08/23/2021.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul. Paul, how was your weekend?
Windy.
Blustery. Blustery. Good morning, Tom. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. Well, thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad you could make it. Especially since the storm of 2021 has come and gone.
Come and gone. Yes.
There are pictures of many coffee tables
set
over to its side, saying "Never forget." Henri.
Yeah, I saw one of a lounge chair over on its side, and somebody put, "We will rebuild."
However, there were some. The jokes are there, but there was some stuff that happened. Canterbury got whacked pretty good. They were the worst in the state, from what I understand. Paul was saying.
Yep. Yeah.
And but you guys got ranked number 3 in outages,
third or fourth in the state in outages. Yeah.
No, that's from EverSource, right?
Actually, I got that from the governor.
Oh, okay. All right.
The governor gave me a call yesterday afternoon, and he said he was just checking in because we were I forget if he said the third or the fourth worst hit state in the town in the state.
Oh, goodness. So I know of a couple of things. We had talked about on Route 12, just past Walmart.
Correct. There was a large tree that came across the road.
Now, did anybody get hurt in any of these? Any injuries? Or?
No, not that I've been told. With all of the 3 or 4 instances where a tree fell on a house.
Yeah.
There were no injuries.
And where were the other houses that were struck in what areas?
There was one that I know of on Bundy Hill Road. There was one on South Burnham Highway. There was one on North Burnham Highway. And I think there was one on Kimball Road, or I forget exactly which road, but I know those three I definitely know of.
So there were quite a few trees that came down. I mean, there were a couple in Gristle, but I don't know of any damages or anything.
Yeah, there was a lot of trees down. I think throughout there were a couple road closures because of the trees across the road, but they were all able to be cleaned up pretty quickly, except for Route 12. I guess that took a little while.
Oh, okay. Now, did it hit a house too, or just
no,
come across the road?
Just came across the road. Yeah.
What about power lines? How were any downed power lines? I know you guys had some problems with power, but I mean,
yeah, there were down power lines. They're working some down power lines right now on Bushnell Road. I know that there were down power lines on Route 12, on Route 169, North and South Burnham Highway, Newent Road, Preston Allen Road. I got a report this morning that there was a problem yesterday on Preston Allen Road, and apparently during the night there's a tree now leaning that I got to get somebody to address. It's leaning pretty heavily on the primary and secondary lines on there. So if that could bring down wires too. So
that would be Eversource.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah. Everything in our town is Eversource.
Yeah.
Joanne says one on Browning Road. Now this is Griswold, right? Yeah, Browning Road. But the fire department came right out and removed it. Thanks, Joanne. I guess there wasn't really a lot. I mean, here. I mean, you guys really suffered a big part of it.
You still have quite a lot of outages in Griswold, though. I think 300 or so.
Well,
It was just over that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not too bad. But they do have the trucks all over the place.
Yeah.
We saw them on the highway. Oh my goodness! I saw them on Saturday. Ones from Indiana already here, so they were expecting something. So
yeah. What some people don't realize is they want to see during a storm like this, they want to see the trucks and the crews out there
right
immediately when something happens, and
you're already shaking your head no.
They have the utility companies have a protocol, and they and the tree people, they won't put their people up in a bucket until the winds are at a certain level.
Right.
Yeah.
So if in the peak of the storm, if the gusts were, I believe, above 40 or 50 miles an hour, they're not going to put anybody up in the bucket,
which we didn't see.
No.
We didn't see gusts that high in Eastern Connecticut.
The first day is what they do is they concentrate on 911 calls at any emergency situation before they do any restoration. So restoration usually takes like a day or two.
Yeah.
Plus they don't know what the hell they got.
Right.
Nobody's been out there.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you Paul, working for
I worked for them
for
for so many years, and that was the protocol. And one of the things we go out and patrol. I used to patrol this area all the time.
You worked for Eversource?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So
you would have a lot more expertise on that than I would.
yeah. Spent a lot of years out in the working storms all over the
You weren't
state.
just pushing pencils and paper.
I mean,
were
that's
you?
all I did. I mean, I wasn't out there doing any work.
You weren't on the lines.
Of course not. Of course, I'd kill myself.
That was before buckets, when you had to wear the spike boots and then climb.
Oh,
Well, they
climb
did
the
climbers.
pole?
And the
Yeah.
other thing they used to do is they used to have sticks. Right now, sometimes they can handle it, with their hands, the lower voltage. At least that's what they used to do. And then they used to have these maple sticks that they used to use.
Oh, really?
That they would, move things around. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Hot sticks. You couldn't touch the power line, so you use a stick to move the wires around.
Oh,
Yeah, that was back. I
so it's almost like being a puppeteer.
Yeah, you have to use, yeah. But of course now they have all kinds of bucket equipment, but all kinds of stuff on it now that makes the job a lot easier. Yeah.
So Lisbon is obviously on the mend. It won't take long. I mean, did the governor or or has Eversource given you any kind of timetable as far as when people will be up and running again?
They would like to have everybody restored in town by 6 o'clock this evening.
That's pretty good.
Well, they have to, because otherwise it's going to cost them money.
Yeah.
The new rule now.
What do you mean?
If they're out so many hours, and I forget what the number is. It's like in 90s or something like that, I thought.
All right. Yeah.
And then they have to pay you for $25 for every whatever it is, and pay you for your food. Some kind of new thing they had put in when the last storm.
Is it a Pura thing or?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that existed.
Me either.
Yeah.
See, we're all learning. We're all learning this morning here. All right.
Yeah.
Well, at least nobody got hurt.
Nope. Nobody got hurt.
Some damages.
It came through pretty quick and left, which is fine. The weather's such that nobody's sitting home freezing. They may be a little warm in their house, but they're not freezing.
Correct. And the path was crazy. You know, 1 minute you hear it's coming in down
zig and zag, and
it's down in Rhode Island. It's like
on Sunday morning when I got my first briefing, I think it was 4 o'clock. They were saying landfall at 6 o'clock in the evening in Madison.
Yeah, Madison.
And then by 6 or 7 o'clock that morning, it was going to be further east, and then by 9 o'clock, it was landfall in Westerly, or on the Rhode Island line between Westerly and Charleston, and just before noon, it did make landfall, or right around noon, it made landfall in Westerly.
Yeah.
And then it came up, north.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
To the north. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, to the northwest.
Northwest, yeah.
And right through the state.
So when did the storm really start to lose its organization? Was it just before it hit landfall?
Yeah, according to the weather reports that I saw, it started to fall apart just before it made landfall.
Got it. Which is again a good thing, because we were expecting the way it was rotating. We were good candidates to see the eye of the storm. Yeah.
Actually,
the way it was going,
the 10 o'clock news on Saturday, or the 11 o'clock news on Saturday, they were pointing out a real distinct eye that was forming.
Yeah.
I'm glad it just fell apart.
Yeah. But we have colder water up here too, so maybe that has something to do with it. Of course, I'm not, weather guys would know that.
Yeah. It's been but last year was a much more active tropical season than this year has been.
Yeah. Well,
last year was crazy. It was a bunch of little storms. But
what bothers me is a lot of times is the blizzard conditions when we get those nor'easters.
Yeah,
those are the ones that we concerned up here. These during the summertime, it's not bad because you can go outside. I mean, I remember driving around a few years ago when we had the storms, and people could smell the barbecues going. Driving around, so it wasn't bad. People were having fun playing outside, but during the wintertime, you can't do that.
No.
That's the dangerous thing. The winter ones are more dangerous for us.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to, because we can beat Henri with a stick all day long, but it is what it is, and hopefully power is restored by 6 o'clock to everybody. That
would be nice too.
Yeah.
So let's move on to these funny little these mask possible mandates.
Okay.
Norwich.
It's just started a
mask
today.
mandate.
Yeah.
Now, we had talked a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
About mask mandates a little bit and stuff, and everything with SCOG.
Yep.
In the meeting that you guys had, and Tim Sharkey, the borough warden here in Jewett City, had said that he wants to just let the businesses make their own mind up as far as if they're going to have customers mask up or not. Lisbon is a lot more bustling, and when it comes to all of the big box retailers that you have.
Correct.
So as the first selectman, I mean, how do you manage that, I guess?
To the short answer is we're not.
Okay.
We're recommending. We have since the very beginning of this that people mask up when they go into the stores. Let me back up. If you come into the town hall to do any business, you have always had. Once we opened up the doors, you have to wear a mask in the town hall. I'm not going to mandate the businesses to do the same. Quite frankly, because in the peak of this, early on last year, you could still go into a Walmart or a Target or any of those big box stores, and they weren't really enforcing the mask mandate that the governor had put out in his executive orders. And then speaking to some of the people who work and some of the managers, the problem with that was that although the governor had this executive order, they had a hard time enforcing it because corporate really didn't want to lose customers by insulting them and telling them that they have to wear a mask and take the chance that they'll go someplace else. So they really, they would say to somebody, please put a mask on. If they didn't put a mask on, that was about all that they were going to do because corporate wasn't really going to push them to do it.
I know even in Disney World, I know this is, but when we were down there a couple weeks ago, we would go into one of the restaurants, and when you go inside during one of the parks, you have to mask up. And if you're not, then they tell you to please mask up. Well, there was one restaurant we went into in the Magic Kingdom where and plus you had to order on the app on most of the restaurants. A lot of them weren't sit down, and whatever. But anyway, there were these, I would say, late teens, early 20s. There was 3 of them up at the counter, and they were wearing their mask, and it was on their chin. Their chin was completely protected, but people from the restaurant would come over and say, "Excuse me," and they were very, very nice. "You have to wear your mask." And wherever you went, and they were enforcing it like crazy. They would say it has to be over your mouth and your nose. They weren't just saying wear your mask. They were telling you how to wear it as well. Yeah. Well, these kids, I think they were notified by someone from the restaurant at least 5 or 6 times, and they refused. But they didn't get kicked out.
Really?
They didn't get asked to leave or anything like that.
It's surprising because I thought Disney World was pretty strict on there.
They are.
Yeah.
If you're in line, I mean, I had one time where we were in line for, I think it was Space Mountain actually, and the mask I had kind of slipped down, and a lady, they had people on the outside of the lines, that you're waiting in, just looking for masks. That's all they're doing.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And they tell you, pull it up, do this, do that. But I guess if you really push it, they're not going to do anything. But
there again, does corporate really want to lose a guest?
Well, see, exactly. And the bad PR as well. Yeah. So I guess my question this is really a long way to lead up to this question, is that Norwich now has a mask mandate, and they have a lot of restaurants and a lot of retail businesses. Is this going to push people into Lisbon, into Griswold, because people don't want to wear them?
I really don't know. I wouldn't even venture a guess. It's certainly a possibility.
Yeah. I say yes. I think Paul says yes, too.
I think that's the reason why there's no mask mandate in Griswold, is the fact that a lot of businesses were concerned that if they made them mask up here, they'd go to Voluntown, they'd go to Canterbury, they'd go to Lisbon. That was the concern why there's no mask mandate.
I wouldn't have a problem with a mask mandate if there was an executive order that gave some enforcement authority to the police to do something, but it's not. From the capital, that it's a recommendation that people wear masks, and then the governor left it up to local leaders to decide whether or not they want to do a mask mandate. The problem I have with that is we don't have a police department. We have a resident trooper, and we also rely on the state police. I hesitate to think that the state police is going to come in if I tell them there's 5 people in Walmart who are not wearing a mask. I've got.
They're not going to waste the resources.
Yeah,
for that,
yeah. They've got enough that they have to deal with. And again, what would they charge somebody with? There is no, what would be the charge if they did perhaps go in there and say put your mask on?
Because it's not a mask mandate or
Not now.
anything
The
like
last
that.
one was.
Yeah, the last one was.
The last one.
And
Yeah,
they-
but
and
right
they-
now there isn't.
Right, and they did want to have people get, or pay a fine, but it wasn't enforced because it was, like I said, it was useless because
Right.
cops got better things to do than
Yeah,
go
and
around.
and the city of Norwich and the town of East Lyme, Groton, New London, they all have a police force. They have a dedicated police department
Right.
that they can utilize to do some enforcement.
And
Some
you
of the
kind of wonder if they ever did.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Like Plainfield too, they have their own police
Yeah,
force, but I
exactly.
don't know,
Yeah.
what's going to happen as far as I haven't heard anything about a mask mandate out of Plainfield.
No.
I guess the governor also said that in one of his conferences, I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday, that although he wasn't going to do a mask mandate, he said just watch the numbers and see we'll see what happens next Wednesday. So if the numbers continue to stay where they are or tick up, he may very well make that
They
decision.
seem to be going up and down and up and
Yeah,
down. It's
yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
a wave right now. All right. So what else is going on in Lisbon? What's happening? What's going on this? How's the summer been, for you? I haven't seen you. I've talked to you a few times.
Yeah, it's all right. I've been
Yeah.
busy. It's been busy. We're doing all right. We just approved at a town meeting for the fire department to purchase a new truck, and we're going to lease that. And we're putting together the material necessary to go to a town meeting to get approval for bonding for the new fire station that they want to have put up. So we'll be talking about that with the residents hopefully in a week or so, or maybe 2 weeks.
Now go ahead, Paul.
Isn't there something other big thing going on in town that people were a little upset with?
Yeah, that's that
Board
was
of Education.
No.
no.
Okay.
This is it's an ordinance that's part of the DEEP and the federal EPA municipal stormwater permit that all towns and cities have to abide by. And the ordinance simply put is requires that people not attach their downspouts to a water system, or it has a penalty if you're found dumping into a water system, because the whole part of the municipal stormwater permit is to keep pollutants from going into the rivers and into the ocean. And when the ordinance was first presented to the board, somehow it was interpreted by somebody that it was going to be it was because there were no fish in the Quinnebog River, and it was completely taken out of context.
Got it.
So you can't let your downspouts go into the catch basins. In other words, keep them away from the catch basins.
Yeah,
pretty
well, that's one of the things. There's a lot of different things in the ordinance.
Going back to mask mandates, and there was also a big town meeting or Board of Education had a big get together, so to speak, with masking of the kids, and a lot of people that came out and didn't want that at all. That's happening in a lot of towns. It's not just Lisbon.
Yeah. I guess I don't. I understand the movement to unmask our kids, but I don't know why. I don't understand why they think for 1 minute that it's a Board of Education decision to unmask the kids when it's actually part of the governor's executive orders that teachers and children have to be masked.
Mm-hmm.
And I just know from my two granddaughters that the kids tolerate the masks a heck of a lot better than we do.
Than the adults, yeah. I was going to ask a question on the heel of that, actually. I'm drawing a blank. I don't know why.
Did have a lot of the younger generations been vaccinated in Lisbon? Do you know?
Well, that's where I'm wondering.
I as far as I know, yeah, our vaccination rate is pretty good.
Is it
Yeah.
for 12 to 17-year-olds?
That number I'm not sure of yet.
Yeah, because I know it's not the greatest in Griswold.
Any pullback from teachers about, and I think this is probably a better question to ask somebody from the Board of Education, but have you heard of any pullback from teachers that, are now being required to either vaccinate or test weekly?
That part I don't know. I do know that the teachers I spoke to previously, they're more comfortable wearing masks and the kids wearing masks if they can get the kids back in school. They don't want to go another school year with
remote learning.
Remote learning. They really don't want that.
That was not good.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Good.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids didn't get all the, because we all know with kids being with kids, that's where you really can learn.
Right.
You know.
And that's a big part of school is developing their social skills.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're not going to do that at home, sitting on a Zoom meeting.
No, not looking at a computer screen. Absolutely not.
All right. So like here, no mask mandate in Lisbon. You guys are recovering from the storm just fine.
We seem to be, yes.
Okay. What about events? Any big events coming up in Lisbon that we should know about?
No. The farmers market is up and running again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what the plans are for the fall festival. I have not heard.
Right. Got to have the chowder and the clam cakes, man.
Yeah, I know.
What's up with that? I mean, if that goes away, then the world might as well just end.
It was sad last year when we weren't able to have that. Yeah. It was.
Did you ever go down there to the fall festival and get the?
I've been down there,
good.
and I was there years ago when you guys had the car show in the parking lot. I brought my
Yep.
car there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys stay alive over there, and we're still waiting for Cumberland Farms. Is that happening? No.
No.
Oh, you know what? There was one thing I had. You have a new used car dealership.
Yes.
In Lisbon, right over the bridge.
The King of Cars.
The King of Cars, Pete, right? Is that his name? Or okay.
Yes.
From what I understood before, was there a language change or something as far as P&Z is concerned? Because I thought that no used car dealerships were able to go strictly used car dealerships in Lisbon unless you sold something new.
Right.
And now they don't have anything new.
No, they don't. I believe there may have been a text change.
Okay.
Because you're right. You could sell used cars, but only as a percentage of new cars that you had.
Because the guy that was in there before was selling scooters.
Right.
To kind of circumvent, I guess you could say.
Wasn't that the guy who also had Basra Auto?
He had another dealership.
I think that was a shop here in Lisbon that he opened up as a satellite for his shop in
I thought it was Franklin. Yeah, regardless.
Somewhere out.
Yeah, regardless. Yeah, he was selling scooters. The scooters are kind of cool. I would look really bad on a scooter then. I would look like a big, huge frog, just sitting on a scooter.
I'm not gonna go there. I'm not touching that.
All right. Well, thank you very much for. Did you have something there, Jim?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Tom, about what you just talked about was if you're going to sell used cars, you have to sell new cars. What's the rationale for something like that?
Not having been on P&Z when they came up with that language in the regulations, I think what they wanted to get away from was dealership after dealership after dealership that just had used cars lining the road. They wanted new cars in there as well.
Probably the Sherman Ford probably has.
I have a potential answer for that, actually, because if you didn't buy a car from Sherman Ford, we both lose money.
Yeah.
Right?
Sherman.
I think here's a potential answer for that question is that there had been nothing more than new car dealerships there that also sold used cars. One time I had asked Peter Dish, long time ago, I said, why do you sell new cars? Because there was no money in new cars.
Right.
Really, there was very small margin. He goes, very simple. He goes, it creates a used car market. It's exactly what he said, because you don't make any money on the new car until you sell the trade, whether you retail it or you wholesale it. So you had Sherman Ford that was in there and they had just been there for 200 years, and they were a fixture, in the town of Lisbon, right? And then it was a guy, was it Peter Place? No, that's Danielson. It was another gentleman, Winter Ford came in.
He took over.
Right.
And then they were gone. Yeah. What happens is, and this is from talking to a couple of people that I know that run dealerships and own dealerships, to get a franchise for a new car dealership is you've got to have a credit line of over $1 million to be able to do so, to floor plan all these cars.
Plus the facility that they want you to display them in.
Right.
Depending on the franchise you want. Then
they also look at the demographics of where you are. They don't want to place their new cars on your lot if you're not going to move the product.
Exactly. So I think a new car dealership going into around here would probably be difficult because you really don't have the demographics for it. That's why they're all in Norwich, the New London in that way.
Blankfield.
There's one.
But he sells like 17 different kind of cars.
I think he's got 4 up there.
Yeah.
But the new car dealership showrooms, they're palatial. And it's competitive. I'm sure they're like that because the guy down the street has a real nice looking showroom. So you have to, for lack of a better term, you have to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, some of these older dealerships, they're giving them up because the cost for them to upgrade the facilities to the way the manufacturer wants them is just exorbitant.
Yeah, correct.
Anyway, and used car dealerships have more of a potential on gross profit on a vehicle than a new vehicle is concerned. So because let's say you make literally $200 off of a new car, but you give somebody $3,000 for their trade. That may not be real money, but let's just say the actual money they put on it was $1,500. You got to sell that car before you've made money on the new car,
right?
Because you keep tying money up.
Sure.
So
look at
and then you take a trade on the used car that you're selling. So
you look at East Coast Ford, East Coast Auto up here. I mean, these kids started in their backyard,
right?
If they'd had to have $10 million to get going, it's a business we wouldn't have.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So I think maybe was trying to be the short answer, but it was
that makes sense
to be a long answer. I think it's just look at the gross margin, possibility and probability of used cars instead of new cars. So anyway, Tom, thanks for coming by.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, Tom. Let us know when the Cumberland Farms is going in.
I will.
It's been a running joke for 2 years now. All right. Tom Sparkman from the town of Lisbon. Thank you very much, Tom.
Yep.
We will see you soon. We'll talk to you.
Take care, Tom.
I got a couple questions for you after. I'll call you.
Okay.
All right.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you. All right. We're going to break for news, and we shall be back in just a couple of minutes right here on SNSN.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Biden says the U.S.-led evacuation of Americans, at-risk Afghans, and others from Kabul has accelerated, but he's not ruling out extending it beyond the August 31st deadline he set prior to the Taliban's stunning takeover of the country. Speaking at the White House on Sunday, the president said no Afghans are being flown directly to the U.S. for now. He gave an update yesterday.
At my direction, the State Department continues to reach out to the remaining Americans we have identified by phone, email, and other means to ascertain their whereabouts and their plans. We're executing a plan to move groups of these Americans to safety and to safely and effectively move them to the airport compound.
Meanwhile, the Taliban have pledged amnesty to those who worked with the U.S., NATO, and the toppled Afghan government, but many Afghans still fear revenge attacks. Correspondent Julie Walker reports a slow-rolling system named Henri is taking its time, drenching the Northeast with rain, lingering early today atop a region already made swampy by the storm's downpours.
The National Hurricane Center says Henri is expected to slow down further and likely stall near the Connecticut-New York state line before moving back out east through New England and eventually pushing out to the Atlantic Ocean. President Joe Biden declared disasters in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, opening the purse strings for federal recovery aid to those states.
That is Julie Walker reporting. A sheriff in Tennessee says at least 22 people are dead. Many are missing after record-setting rains caused devastating floods that swept away many homes. Tennessee restaurant owner Kansas Clyde lives in Waverly.
Houses are washed away, knocked off foundations, just totally gone. Still people missing. Lots of cars are smashed up and gone.
Waverly officials said yesterday about 40 people were still missing. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Excuse me, why don't you have life insurance yet?
I've got diabetes, and I know the price will be through the roof for the pre-existing condition.
Well, actually, SelectQuote makes it easy to get very affordable life insurance, even if you have a health issue.
I'm listening.
You'll get quotes from some of the country's most trusted carriers. Even with your diabetes, you can get around $250,000 in insurance for as little as $1 a day.
That would be amazing. What's it called again?
SelectQuote. Just call or go to selectquote.com to get your free quote. Get the coverage you need at a price you can afford. Call 1-800-694-1010 or go to selectquote.com today. That's 1-800-694-1010 or selectquote.com. SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Get full details on example policy at selectquote.com/commercials. Monthly premiums vary based on health company and other factors. Not available in all states.
There's a new trend developing. Correspondent Ron DeRockstra reports on the brick-and-mortar restaurant taking on a new look.
Born out of necessity during the pandemic, pop-up restaurants started by struggling chefs and owners may have staying power as consumers continue to embrace takeout and delivery. Cheaper to operate than regular restaurants because they have less overhead and staffing costs. Pop-ups have kept chefs and owners afloat when dining rooms were closed.
That is correspondent Ron DeRockstra reporting. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he's tested negative for COVID-19 4 days after testing positive. He said in a video clip that he tweeted over the weekend, he's been told his infection was brief and mild because he was vaccinated. The 63-year-old Abbott was vaccinated back in December. The Republican governor has refused calls to reinstate mask mandates as the highly contagious Delta variant surges in parts of the Lone Star State. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. One of early rock and roll's biggest stars has passed away.
Don Everly, who teamed up with his brother Phil in the 1950s, was 84. The Everly brothers had a long list of hit records on both the top 40 and country charts. Don and Phil also served in the United States Marine Corps, appearing on the Ed Sullivan Show in their Dress Blues. Phil Everly died in 2014. Jason Walker reporting.
A wildfire burning for a week in Northern California California continues to grow out of control, one of about a dozen big fires in the drought-stricken state that have destroyed hundreds of homes and forced thousands of people to evacuate. There's zero containment of the Caldor fire. That was as of yesterday's update. It has charred about 154 square miles of trees and brush in the northern Sierra Nevada after breaking out originally on August 14th. More details at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Bob Agnew.
The latest news and weather. SNSN.
The 9 a.m. report on the streaming news and sports network is being brought to you by Charlene's Diner, 37 Main Street, Jewett City. Family owned for almost 40 years. Order what you want, eat what you get. That's Charlene's Diner.
I love working here because of the people, and I get to work with my family every day.
Come to Charlene's Diner for the best breakfast you've ever had.
That was Brittany and Matt from Charlene's Diner on Main Street in Jewett City. There are only a few things that have been able to stand the test of time in Jewett City, and one of them just happens to be Charlene's Diner, who just celebrated their 40th anniversary in business. How do you stay in business that long in a small town like Jewett City? It's a simple recipe, really great food and friendly service. And of course, family. You'll feel like family too, because you'll always be greeted with a smile that makes you feel like you're right at home. Stop by for breakfast or lunch 7 days a week. If you don't have any time, well, that's no problem. Order ahead and your food will be waiting for you when you walk into Charlene's door. You can find Charlene's Diner on Facebook too. Stop in and join the family for breakfast or lunch today.
I'm Charlene. Come to Charlene's Diner and order what you want and eat what you get.
This is a news update from the Streaming News and Sports Programming Network, SNSN. Over the weekend on Saturday at about 3:09 p.m., members of Plainfield Police, American Legion Ambulance, and the Plainfield Fire Department responded to the scene of a two-car